quite a lot to unpack there, but I just can't do that now.
Yeah.
No, I think it kind of stresses me out.
Got you hundreds of thousands of followers.
This is a Jord Hammond thing. I'm a land mammal. That's a dying kind of craft anyway.
How do you think about editing that photo?
Cool. But also, I guess it's just a way to express whatever which is going on in my head, you know?
Give us like one of your most important lessons or tips.
Oh, God.
Wanted to rewind a little bit, and there's probably no specific answer to this, but I like hearing people's thoughts on it. Why photography? And I think the answer would probably be different when you think about why you started it compared to why now, right? So could you pinpoint any specific reason why you love photography, and that's kind of the medium that you chose to do?
It sounds quite cliche when I say it's the people I meet along the way, doesn't it?
No, I that's great.
That's true.
Not many people say that.
Yeah, but it is for me. Like I mean, particularly in the way that I shoot, it's quite impromptu. I just honestly drive around, get lost, and just see who I meet, what I find along the way. And it's always the people, like, you know, if I think about particular like experiences I've had with photography, the ones that I remember most fondly always involve like people I've met in the particular place. So, yeah, I'd say it's the people, and it's first and foremost the reason why I really love what I do. But also, I guess it's just a way to express whatever weird is going on in my head. You know, it's just an outlet for that. Yeah, I love exploring, love getting lost, mostly by myself, because then you don't have to deal with other people's bullshit.
But you like the people along the way, because it's interesting. Like
I'm talking about for other like artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that they're actually, a lot of them are really cool, as you'll know. But no, you just the freedom to do your own thing.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I love that. I love the kind of chaos of that process. Like, there's no real structure to it. It's just kind of messy. Just do whatever you want. You meet someone random. Oh, you want to come in my house? Yeah, sure. Why the fuck not? Like, let's do it. Yeah. It's always the people along the way, though. Yeah, it's so cool. And, like, I'll go back to villages now, and honestly, in the middle of nowhere, like, you wouldn't be able to find them just, you know, even if you tried. But I can go back there, and I do go back to the same places fairly often because, you know, like, you're never going to capture everything you want in one morning. And if people say that, they're lies.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always different things happening, especially here. Different ceremonies. Different weather. Different, maybe different people coming through. The same people doing maybe slightly different things.
Also, you're different. Like, any day
Right.
you're different, right?
My approach to that subject may have changed over time
Yeah.
as I've been influenced by like other artists and other art I've been exposed to. So yeah, the people.
The people.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same with us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
I mean,
yeah, with the people, but we've had difficulties. I mean, there are some projects I do and just go, yeah, I didn't really want to come here again. But most of them, the enjoyment comes from, getting a finished image, both for me and for the person that's in that image or people. Like, there's an immense satisfaction from that because for me and my style and what we want to shoot, a lot goes into it.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, we look back on, we just did an amazing project in Celaya, South Sulawesi, and it was all about the people. It was all about the people we met in this one tiny little village that were the friendliest, most welcoming, didn't even think about money kind of people. Yeah, we gave them some stuff, and hopefully we've given them some images, and hopefully we've given them a story to tell about us. But we're going back in September and taking them on a boat and going out to even more
Right.
remote stuff. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about
That's
that.
cool. I think I actually have a few. Now I really think about it, it's probably a few reasons. Like meeting the people. Maybe that feels to me like kind of a selfish reason, right? Because that's something I enjoy about it. But I think also being able to maybe like, communicate like these kinds of experiences and places and people, and being able to like break down maybe those barriers or perceptions of what people think a place may be like. Because I think if you were to ask most people, oh, like, what do you think of Bali? Or what did you do when you went to Bali? Usually the same boring shit they could have done in Europe. Like, go to a beach club.
Yep. Or did you have some... Oh, I don't want to talk about influences. You know what I mean.
Some
It's
nice
so much-
like, avocado toast stuff in Canggu.
Yeah.
Most people I speak to in Canggu, I think most of them haven't even left. They kind of stay on the same 3 streets.
You mean when they visit? Or you mean
Or
living?
live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have friends that visited here and like, what? They're in Seminyak or Canggu, that area.
Yeah.
And
it,
that's
though.
their viewpoint of Bali. That's
Yeah.
their perspective of Bali. It's like...
I do get why people would stay here. I do understand that, especially if, maybe they're not like you and I, and we have a huge reason and like desire to go out and see other places, right? I mean, it's what we do for a living. Not only for a living, but like it's also our passion. So there's nothing I'd rather do than go and do that. So for a lot of people here, they just want a cozy life, and that's also okay. I shouldn't slam that.
Well, we should definitely judge them for that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Ignorant.
Yeah.
No, we had some of our best friends just don't. That's just not what they see as a holiday, right? So if they're going on a holiday, they want a villa with a pool, and they're probably not going to leave that villa much. So, well, in my opinion, you could do that. Many other places that probably wouldn't have to mean that you fly the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, if you go to a specific place, you want to go to that specific place to experience what's different in that culture, what's unique. And you talked about it's kind of what we do is, well, actually for me, and I think for you, travel came first, right? The interest of travel, the interest of different cultures, the interest of educating yourself and becoming aware of how other people live, that came first.
Yeah.
The photography is exactly that for me as well. It's like that medium, that way of telling, or I don't know, compartmentalizing an experience or a culture or a way of communicating, essentially.
Yeah, it
which
is.
so powerful.
And also interesting to, I think, look back on like the things you've created as well. Not obviously my earlier stuff, but like some of the things in Bali or the places I'll go and shoot, like when I revisit and you notice how they're changing. It's kind of scary in a way, like how quickly this place is changing. Like you can look at some photos that I've taken 2 years ago and go back there, and it's now completely impossible to take that photo. Like the salt farmers. In Kasamba.
Yeah.
Like I actually tried to take my workshop group there in October last year. We arrived and they're building, the government is building, or they're moving the arts and culture park. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's being moved to the East Coast.
Okay.
In Kasamba. And so they've built this giant, like, I guess, stone pathway along that beach, where the farmers would walk from the kind of flattened out sand areas where they would, leave the seawater to kind of evaporate in the sun, and it leaves the salt. So they would walk from that area and their huts down to the ocean, collect the sea in the baskets, and then walk it back up. But now there's a giant pathway and stones either side, like all the way down that beach. So their work has completely changed now too. So there's actually pipes that lead from the ocean.
Right.
Through the pathway to the little flat. So I guess it's perhaps easier on them physically. I heard it's actually more expensive for them because they need to pay for fuel.
For the pumps.
For the pumps, yeah. But yeah, it was just interesting to go back there, and it's like, wow. Like, I mean, that's a dying kind of craft anyway. So there are only a handful of places you could shoot that in Bali, not with black sand and like deep blue water like that. I don't think there's anywhere else that you could shoot that in Bali now. But yeah, just interesting to think that, oh, well, can never get that shot again.
Yeah, that's kind of a really nice thing to think about, but not so nice when you think about that kind of romantic trade is dying away. Just like everything, really. I mean, I've done so many projects now that I probably couldn't do again, or it'd be even more difficult just because the tribe or the cohort people are modernized. Or even when we did our last one in Celaya, we went to shoot the Sea Gypsies and the Badger, and it's so difficult to find them. Like, that's why we're going again, because we didn't find like the true authentic Sea Gypsies who are still living literally off the water. They're all starting to modernize and start moving towards the land.
Good.
It's good. It's good.
It is a good thing.
It's good, but it takes the kind of romance away from the art that you're trying to create. So it's win-win really for everyone.
Yeah.
But I still kind of want to pursue those dying tribes or the dying practices.
Yeah, that's like
still
the
around.
romanticism of like creating that art.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, I really want to see this thing that in your head looks so amazing, and you get there and it's just not the case.
But it's not learning that it's not that or nothing, right? There's still some amazing, art to create there in whatever realm of life that you go past. So.
Yeah, there are, and there's still so many stories to be told that haven't been.
Yeah, and
It's just a matter of finding them.
Yeah, which is also difficult, I guess, in a saturated world that we live in. But that's where inspirations come in. Who do you kind of still look up to and follow all the time? And there are a few photographers out there that you consider the OGs.
Yeah, Harry Pope.
Shouldn't laugh.
He'll
be someone's OG.
Oh, why are you laughing? That's changed a number of times for me. And I must say, I don't honestly spend that much time, for better or worse, probably for worse. I don't spend that much time looking at other art.
Okay.
I don't know why. I guess it's just not a habit of mine. I actually have ordered some photography books back home to England that I'm going to bring out here because I want to spend more time looking at other people's art. But I'd say Alex Webb is one. And it's funny because I say that, and actually if you look at his photos, mine are completely different to his. But I really like his kind of style of shooting, like the idea of just wandering around and just kind of stumbling into scenes and stuff like that. I think when I read a few bits about him, that kind of encouraged me to do the same. That was a couple of years ago, and so that's pretty much all I do now is just wander around lost, just trying to see what I can do. So yeah, Alex Webb would be one. I love do you know Michael Sidosfsky?
No.
I mean, I don't love him personally, but
okay.
He's a nice guy. But his work, like Mind's Eye on Instagram.
Okay.
I very much enjoy some of his recent work. I think his photographs are about as close to he's more like cityscape. I love his shots that are like cityscapes, kind of these urban scenes that have like a lone figure in them. And the way his art is moving in my eyes is it just looks so close to a painting. It's ridiculous. Can I pull up his
I'm going to do it now.
I got to show you this one piece in particular. I cannot remember what he titled it. But it's just like, how the f did you even make this?
For people listening and not watching, what's his Instagram handle again?
Minds.
I
MINDZ.EYE. Look at this. Look at this, dude. How is that not a painting?
Yeah. Oh, I do know this guy.
Yeah. That's what I thought. He's good, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
incredible.
Yeah. So Mind's Eye, I think I love Alex Webb stuff. Billy D is great.
Probably there's some Billy D influence in here, or the other way around. Certainly with the color.
I don't know. It almost looks like, but they look like paintings.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Michael's stuff.
Yeah.
I really love. I'm a big fan of Cath's work, Cath Simard.
Yeah.
Also, the kind of adventures and lengths she kind of goes to get her stuff, I find pretty inspiring. George Steinmetz.
The aerial guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
The aerial man.
The aerial.
Who shot for Nat Geo for a long time, but like is now kind of working on more of his own projects, I think. yeah, I love the variety of the stories he captures, and just things that you would never think, not even twice about. You wouldn't think about them once, actually. Like a lot of the things he goes to shoot, it's like, what the fuck? Like, why on earth did you? Well, I remember when I met him, I was just asking, like, why do you go and shoot these things, and why on earth did you like want to shoot this stuff? Like, it's nothing I'd ever even considered. So yeah, I mean, they're just a few off the top of my head. There are plenty of like artists' work I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of that stuff I see in some way comes back to me, and do you know what I mean? It kind of all adds up and helps me to think about what I'm doing in a different way. So, yeah, it's weird. And I guess in some ways, like, we owe a lot of what we create to like everyone else. There's also creating.
Absolutely.
Well.
I don't know if there's such a thing as originality or uniqueness.
It's perhaps, but it's more a culmination of like all the things all the other art you've seen, and then also the experiences you've had. So I would argue, yeah, there is unique work, but it's also like it's a product of like everything else.
I think you can be unique without being original, because I think they're different. Original means, really there's nothing else, it's not influenced by anything. It's just, but that's almost impossible because we're humans and we absorb everything from birth, right? It's all in the subconscious.
Yeah, dude.
But, yeah, let's smoke some weed. So how you talked about your style changing and your kind of the way you go about taking photos and editing has changed in the last what? Oh, I guess it's evolved over time. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I went when I started, I just edited on the Instagram app.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I remember thinking like, oh, why can I not get this to look the way I look, the way I want it to look? Sorry.
Yeah.
But I just posted it anyway. Then I went through a very saturated, vibrant phase for a while. That's always fun to look back at. Where all the skies were purple, the trees were yellow. It's weird.
Okay.
Then a very desat style. Then I mean, it's kind of bounced around like over the last few years. It's been more consistent in the last like year and a half, I'd say. But yeah, styles changed. I also, not that I share any of my street kind of work, but I shoot a lot more of that now, more so than I do probably anything else. I also shoot now in landscape pretty much exclusively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I very, very rarely will I shoot in portrait.
Yeah.
Feels awkward now.
Yeah, I'm always pretty much in landscape.
Yeah.
Because I find people, there's definitely, I would say 10% of my work is in portrait.
Depends on the scene.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on what you're trying to show, but I feel a lot of people out there will just shoot portrait for Instagram.
Yeah, I did that.
Which does my head in.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
I remember even thinking like I would have the lines, the grid kind of set up on my camera. And I can't remember exactly how you'd have the grid, but I'd know that. What does it shoot? Is it 4:3, like the way it comes out on a camera typically, right?
On the full frame.
Yeah. And you think, well, the top and bottom of this frame is useless. Like I'm not going to be able to have this on my post, right? So I was always thinking about one, like how's this going to look as a 4:5? Then if that's cropped to a square for my feed, how's that going to look? Which I think I still do to a degree.
Well, and it worked, right?
Yeah. Sure. I guess so.
Got you hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes, and I don't know, it feels just kind of strangely lucky in some way, because there's a lot of people that create really cool art and also share their art a lot, but it just happened to be that, maybe I had the opportunity to travel more, and so I could build an audience, from, globally, as opposed to maybe just sharing stuff from the US and building an audience there. Maybe just weird that many people enjoy my work.
It's not weird. Talking about inspirations.
It's nice. I'm not saying like they're weird, right? But it's funny how things like work out because it wasn't the plan.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not weird that I know it feels weird because I've been there where people like give you praise for stuff. You're like, no.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But you are an inspiration for hundreds of thousands of people, if not more. So, do you think about how to not inspire people, because you would do that anyway through your work, but let's say you're sat down in front of Lightroom,
right,
and you've got an image that you're you're happy with. What is how do you think about editing that photo? Are there certain specific, I guess, parameters that you will always implement through every photo? Or is it just, do I take every photo by itself and just think about?
I mean, yeah, like I don't use presets. I know that's not what you meant, but I will edit everything from scratch and take it as it is. I mean, I try to edit things kind of consistently.
Yeah.
Not for the sake of consistency itself, but because that's just in the look I enjoy. But yeah, I edit everything from scratch. I'll happily sit there for 8 hours
On one image?
one day, and then the next day I'll like go again for a while.
Yeah.
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 But yeah.
What are the...
I mean, I really enjoy editing. I love it. Almost as much as... Not as much as I probably do like being in the field, but I find it quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
To sit down and do that. I know a lot of people would just try to smash out their edits like as quickly as they can just to get something posted, but for me that doesn't sound like much fun.
No, I definitely agree.
And if I spend that much time, out in the field, time and money, because I could be doing other things. If I'm going to spend that much time in the field getting these images, and maybe there's one in however many that I actually feel like is worth something, by that, worth sharing with people or whatever, or worth spending the time to edit, then, the effort I put into editing that should mirror the effort it took to get it.
Yeah.
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 There's no rush or I'm just going to give myself an hour to do this, if you're trying to be productive or something. Well, from 2 to 3, I'm going to edit. It's like, well, I can't do that. Like good things, good art, just takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. That's my innate way of doing it as well. I didn't start that. We did a project in, I know but we did a project to Java in February, wet season, rain most of the time. Did eGen, Bromo, and then Ponorogo. And I didn't sit down and edit any of those, not even selections, until April, like 2 months later.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some kind of benefit in giving yourself space as well, like between capturing something and then, just switching off from it for a minute, because you become so, it's like editing in one day, you'll go back the next day and go, why did I edit like that yesterday? Yeah. Right? It's the same, because you're immersed in it so much. I kind of think that perspective is good in a way, and I'm happy to take the time with it.
Yeah.
It's going to be something I'm proud of.
Yeah, same. I don't think I could even do that anymore. I used to be able to do that. Like I used to go and shoot sunrise, go back to the hotel, edit, and then I post it the same day. I just can't do that now.
Yeah.
No, I think it kind of stresses me out. And I'd rather just like do other things. Just take my time. Like just edit it when I want to edit it.
Yeah.
Like even when I went to eGen and my guy was like, "Oh, like I hope you're gonna post these soon." Maybe he wanted a tag or something. He's like, "Oh, I hope you'll post these soon. Like, when do you think you're gonna post them?" Like, I don't know. Like, stop asking me.
Yeah, I haven't told Fias,
I'm
but
taking my time.
Getting messages from people we shot in February, and they're like, "Where's my photo? Where's my photo?" I said, "I've told you millions of times. Like, you'll get it. I promise you, I'll get it. We have a verbal agreement. You'll get the photo, but just give me time. I can't just turn this around."
Yeah.
But maybe people think different when they see my photos. What, you spent months on that?
They also don't understand what we do.
Yeah. You just got to be in the right mood for it as well. Like, I don't wake up every day and go, "Oh, today I really want to edit stuff." Sometimes it's just like,
right.
I've got other stuff to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, imagine you like wake up and, "Oh, I really don't want to shoot today," and then you go and shoot. It's like, what? Why did you do that? You want to be excited when you're in the field and like, open to talking to new people instead of like being all reserved and annoyed that you're there. Like,
how would you define your style if you could?
Oh God. I mean, I'd like to maybe think of it now as more documentary style. That kind of seems like offensive to those that actually really shoot like a true documentary style, where the horizon is like off usually, and it's sort of like, I don't know, these like rough kind of
minimal edits
moments. Yeah, right, where it looks like straight out of camera, basically. I don't know. I think maybe I have two styles. Like there's the one I share publicly that I just shared on my Instagram, which I enjoy. I don't just continue to share that because for the sake of it or because I have to keep up appearances or something. Like, no, I still enjoy that very much. Like, it's a totally different. It's almost like I don't know. I think of it more as like a precisionist kind of style. Like everything's very calculated. And,
I would agree with that.
Like like everything fits near perfectly and kind of shit.
Very clean.
Yeah, like very clean. But then I have like the docu style stuff that I kind of like that I shot at Egen.
Yep. Very cool.
I honestly don't know how I'd describe it. Like I sometimes think about that. Like I ask myself that question and I don't know how to answer it. I think I just let other people do it. I just let other people think of it what they want.
It's the Jord Hammond style.
Yeah, it's just my style of shooting. That's it, you know.
Do you think having a style is important as a photographer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, helps people to recognize your work.
Yeah.
Because you'll like, well, people have said to me like, oh, if I see like your photo somewhere, like I'll know it's yours without even seeing your name. Or like if I posted it on Instagram, they're like, oh yeah, this is a Jord Hammond. Like I knew this was yours without even seeing your name, kind of thing. Which I guess can be helpful. I mean, I think it helps to have a style. If your work just looks like, you know, like most other people's, then yeah, it's not really going to stand out. And then I don't know how you're going to build a kind of career off that.
I think some people argue you can have various styles according to what you're trying to do or get out, especially when it comes to client work. You could have different styles for different types of brands, right?
Yeah, you can. Like when I used to edit in a much more saturated way, I'm absolutely certain when I look back that I edited the brand stuff in the same way.
Okay.
It's not great. Yeah, that's not great. But I don't know why I did that, to be quite honest. I think I just liked it, so I did it and didn't really care about anything else.
The brands like it, they like it.
Apparently they liked it, which is surprising in hindsight. But yeah, I mean, that's fine with me. But yeah, I think having a style, I think is important. I mean, you don't often see people like editing and posting stuff. Let's just use Instagram for sake of time. Like you don't see people posting that stuff in completely different styles.
No. Well, you don't see the more successful popular accounts doing that, because people don't want to go to an Instagram account and you're like, what is all this? There's a scattered kind of style or approach, and they're not going to follow you because it's just not attractive. It's interesting. I mean, I did a video about this a couple of weeks ago, how important style is, and I got a lot of pushback. Yeah. Which is interesting because I believe your voice and what you're trying to say is more important, but you've got to have a cohesive style because it helps with identity. It helps with building a body of work. If you want to get to the end of your career and look back at your work, you want to see the evolution, I guess, and the development, but underneath all of that, surely there needs to be a cohesiveness. Yeah,
and a lot of opportunities come from having a style. Yeah. Yeah, like I had a company recently, I can't remember what they were, like an energy company or something that, it seemed like a cool opportunity, like something I'd want to photograph. I didn't realize that sustainable palm oil was a thing. I thought it was all bad. Yeah. Maybe I need to look into that further before people flame me for this. But they wanted me to come out to Sumatra to like do more doggy style / like, of their workers and like the plantations. So you can imagine like the top down aerial stuff. Yeah. That and then more doggy stuff for the workers in maybe the factories and shit like that. But that's only because of my style.
Talk to me about your, just kind of touch on education a bit. It's clearly a big part of your life, even before photography. With your specific courses and workshops, how do you, I mean, I don't want to say how do you educate, but what are the kind of the most important tools to, bring a very complex concept when it comes to photography and compartmentalize it so people can actually understand? What are the tools you'd need to do that?
I mean, I think I just try to keep it as simple as possible because that's how I feel about photography. I don't feel like it needs to be that complicated. Yeah, I mean, I just try to keep it as simple as possible. I try my best to. I mean, really, what I'm trying to do is just give people an insight into how my brain is kind of thinking about this whole like thing, like that being photography.
Yeah.
Try to do it step by step. I mean, I guess it depends on who you're trying to target. If it's beginners, then you really need to kind of hold their hand from like the very, very basics. Yeah, I mean, don't get me, it's tough though. It is tough trying to. I remember when I first started doing this, and I was trying to think of how to teach people about what's going on in my brain. I was like, I can't think how to do this, like, because I didn't think about it. Like
you just do it.
You just kind of go through the motions without really thinking about it all that much. Yeah, I guess you just try and like speak your mind, like while you're doing it. I try to keep it simple. I don't think it's that complicated at all. Especially if you want to take good photos. I'm not talking about like, photos that are gonna like change the world or anything like that. But like if you want to just take good photos that you'd like to have on your wall, I don't think that's that difficult. It just takes time, And I can only teach so much. You could sign up to my course and watch it through once, and well, it's like, then what are you going to do with that information? If you just watched it and didn't go out to shoot for the next 3 months, well then it's kind of a waste of time, wasn't it? Like,
putting it into practice.
Yeah. You need to get out there and try these new techniques out, and you need to meet with other creatives so you can kind of get inspired by them, or take some kind of ideas from them and share like concepts with each other and experiment. Yeah. If you're not going out to shoot, then I mean, you're fucked. Basically,
it all comes down to actually practicing.
If I don't go out and shoot for a month, which I don't think that's ever happened since I started taking photos, I kind of feel like I'm starting again in a weird way.
Yeah. There's definitely rustiness.
There's rustiness, yeah. I don't feel like I'm starting again. That was a huge exaggeration, but you do feel rusty, kind of feel awkward.
Yeah.
Like when you go out there and do that. Yeah. And a lot of people, quite a few people I talk to, it's just surprising to hear this contradiction of like how much they love photography and how much they want to improve against how much they actually go and shoot. And how much time they actually spend doing that thing. Yeah, often I feel like it doesn't kind of match up.
People like the idea more than
definitely.
Because people realize, once they realize there's a lot of hard work that, and it's all down to them. You can watch, I call it, actually, I don't call it, I learned this phrase from a friend of mine, but shelf help. It's where people read loads of books, where they do loads of courses and they learn loads of things, never take it off the shelf and actually go and use it, implement it. So many people like that. I've done that. I've got, bought courses and never actually completed them. I read a stat like 7% of people actually buy an online course and complete the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me because I've been that 93%. So yeah, it's that doesn't surprise me when you say that. Is that a frustration for you or do you just not really care? And people are going to buy a course, they're going to buy a course. But
well, I'd like to think people would make the way through the whole thing. If I should know the percentage of the average kind of watch time or percentage watched. Soph would know that. I should have brought her with me. But you'd like to think people make their way through the whole thing, but it might be that it's not particularly necessary for them.
Yeah.
If I'm, let's say, doing a lesson on, let's say, gear I'd recommend for 2023, well, someone might already be completely happy with what they have.
Yeah.
I didn't do a lesson on astrophotography because I have no interest in it, but if I did and somebody watching it had no interest in that, then why would they watch it?
Yeah.
Like there wouldn't really be much. I mean, you could argue there'd be a point, maybe they learn some techniques that they could kind of transferable skills that they could apply to their work elsewhere, but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of an art in itself, like trying to create a course that will encourage people to work their way through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest difficulty is motivating them enough to, and that's why I asked you before, like, do you add on like in-person sessions there? I guess and you said you do like some mentoring. Is that an additional package that okay, so people buy the course and then they can also buy mentoring on top of that?
Yeah, they can they can pay for mentoring on top of that. Of course, I couldn't offer that for free because, if I had to privately mentor 2,500 people, I think, I'd explode. Yeah.
We'd just be doing it literally all the time.
Yeah. And it's fun. And I really quite enjoy that because then you get to know these individual people on a much more personal level. And often they're, you're kind of just the same. It's just like looking at, if I'm teaching somebody like about photography and the business side of things, it's like I'm talking to myself in a way, like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And you can see that, you can see that kind of, I don't know, the fears and maybe insecurities of these people. And then, I don't know, nice to just talk to them and be like, yeah, you're going to be fine. Yeah. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
A lot of them take way better photos than I did when I was like kind of at that stage of the process.
But conversely, do you have any people where you just go, I'm not sure about your skill in this area?
Of course. Yeah. Do you mean that I privately mentor? No, people are usually quite serious when they want like private mentoring. And I'm also cognizant of the fact that people, we all as at different stages of the process, it's not like I never like sit there and will judge someone's work like that. I wouldn't say like, oh no, I don't know about you, because you can always learn these things.
Yeah.
It just takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much work are you willing to put in? Some people more than others, and it shows.
Yeah, it's not I mean, people can have a talent for photography or a specific area of photography, but
for sure,
it's, everyone can learn it.
Yeah.
It's not exclusive to any type of person.
Everyone can learn it, but there's always going to be people that are better at it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, that is the nature of it. It's funny, like, a lot of the time people say, oh, it's art, it's subjective, it's not necessarily like, there's not like a bad photo, right? I think that is total bullshit. Of course there's bad photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're in
all over my Instagram page.
No, there are good photos and there are bad photos, and there are great photos and there are terrible photos. I believe that to be true.
Yeah, and then there's artistic photos, and then there are non-artistic photos.
Yeah, of course.
Just because you take a photo doesn't mean it's art. Speaking of learning, like, can you just for a little I guess gambit or caption, give us like one of your most important lessons or tips and tricks in photography. More. Just that's it. Just go and shoot more.
Yeah.
Just pick up a camera and get out.
Yeah, just go and shoot more. No,
what if they don't know what they're doing?
That's it. Well, you'll figure it out. Get out and shoot more. Seriously. If you really want to, if you're really that serious about improving your photography, like, go and shoot more. Are you going once a month? Okay, like, make it once a week. At least once a week, for goodness sake. Like, I know it's maybe a little difficult if you're, well, I was going to say if you're working a full-time job and you really want to pursue photography, but then you're just going to have to find a way to make it work. And like we said earlier, if you really want it that badly, I don't know if I did say that earlier, but if you really want it that badly, then you'll find a way of making it work. So one would be to go and shoot more, as much as you possibly can. Two, my second one would probably be to spend more time with other artists. That's something I haven't done so much over in the last few years, and I don't know, but I think especially when you're starting out, I think that can be very helpful. Once you kind of find your feet and your style, and you know what you like to shoot, then it's sometimes a lot easier to go alone, because you're not going to be held back by anyone. But I think when you're starting out, spending time with other artists can be a really, really great help to finding your feet. And to learning new things and shit like that. I mean, I even honestly learn things from the students that come on my workshop sometimes. Like, they'll do things that I might have completely forgotten about, that I haven't done in years. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. Like, it might be like an angle, a way, like a perspective they'll use to approach a certain subject that I haven't done for a very long time, or maybe I never did. And I'm like, that actually looks really good. I should, and then you start to like incorporate that into your work in some way. Especially for, if we're talking about editing as well. I think that's something people struggle with equally, as well as, capturing like a really great photo can be the editing. So spending time with people, be it in person or downloading, doesn't have to be my course, but like downloading anyone's courses for, maybe you really like their style and learning stuff from them, joining their Facebook groups and learning from the other like students in that course can be very helpful.
Yeah.
I think that would be it. That would be it. And maybe just to experiment a little bit more when you're in the field. Yeah. Don't go out with, try not to go out with like such a preconceived idea of what you need to shoot. Yeah. Just be open to like your surroundings when you're there and to shooting whatever it is that interests you. Yeah. Quite a lot to unpack there, but.
No, that's great advice. I think it's easier to say than do. But practice is key. And I people used to say that to me when I was learning. Like, I think I've got it, which I absolutely didn't.
Right.
And even now, like you can go and do a shoot and you'll pick something up or you'll think about something differently. And it just that you can only get that through doing it yourself.
You can. Through
failing or accidentally stumbling on something. Oh, that worked. Yeah. I would do that again. So, especially if you're learning and you're still trying to get your head around the technical aspects of camera settings or just the golden triangle or composition, whatever it is.
I put settings on the back burner for beginners.
Definitely.
I think people, overcomplicate things.
Yeah. Don't
focus
worry.
on like getting the shot. Like even if the settings are like you'll figure that out over time.
But people, certainly in my experience, I mean, nearly all of the questions I get on social media is what camera should I buy, right? Or what setting do you use for this? Like, no. That's not the question you should be asking. I understand because I used to ask those kind of questions, but we've got to dispel this myth and this perception that it's about the settings or the equipment. Yes, they're important, but learning how to learning how to capture a moment or see what would work as a photograph, irrespective of the settings or the technical side of it, is way more important.
Yeah, the settings often have very little to do with like that final outcome.
Yeah. Interesting. I've got a question from our last guest.
Oh yes.
You know him, Luke. Usually I don't say who the guest was, but it's obvious now because this is chronological. But he asks, and he didn't know he was asking you, but he's asking, if you got offered to go to the moon, would you say yes, and why? You can't just say yes, you got to give me some depth.
No. And then I don't have to say why, do I?
Why wouldn't you go to the moon?
You know what? That's funny he's asked that because me and him have spoken about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and really what I needed to know was, well, how long is this mission to the moon? And how long will I be there? Because there's actually plenty of things I'd like to do and see on Earth. And plenty of people I'd like to spend my time with here. So I don't really have any interest in going to the moon and spending all my time in like a tin
capsule
ship.
Yeah.
No.
Not many photography opportunities.
No, not really.
No.
Unless I could go up and back in, if I could do a couple weeks, sure. But I'm not going up there for like months at a time, mate. There's loads of things.
I was thinking a couple of days.
There's loads of things I want to do here. Yeah. There's so many things to go and see, so many people to meet.
Such as what? What is the
land mammal?
What does the next 12 months look like for you? What are those things that you want to do and that you've got planned?
More workshops.
Yeah.
Workshops in Vietnam. We just launched dates for 2024 for Bali. I'd like to do them in Bali, Java, and Vietnam. Ideally 2 in each place per year would be quite nice, I think, for
now.
That'll keep me busy. Also on the horizon, it's still YouTube. I actually have all the equipment that I need now. Kind of the studio I'm trying to film everything is kind of shitty, but that's more so, an excuse of me being insecure and probably fearful of starting it than anything else. So, YouTube really is, I would say, the most important one for me. I don't want to actually talk about it too much because the more I talk about it, I feel like the less likely I am to do it. Okay. It's easy to talk about and not do it.
Yep.
But that's definitely something I'd like to do. I think it would be just maybe interesting for people to kind of find out more about my process and like how I approach, and I think I can help people.
So that would be a kind of an education tool.
Yeah.
People will see behind the scenes and okay.
Yeah, and just something fun for me to do. I think I'd like to document, how I do like how I do my stuff. I think it would be cool to look back on, and I don't know, just a new challenge as well. Like I like to do different things, you know, like with the client projects, then courses, private tutoring, NFTs, then moving into this new kind of area. I think I would get a kick out of it. So yeah, I think that's next. That's probably next 12 months is what I'd like to focus on most.
Cool.
More than anything, and of course my own personal projects.
Yeah. But they always kind of overarch everything, I guess, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a million things I want to shoot over the next year, so we'll kind of see how that goes. First is probably to go back to Mount Ejim.
Go back.
Oh, of course. I mean, 2 days is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did the same 2 days, and then just barely touched the surface.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some photographers, and their like photography books are made over a 30-year period.
Yeah.
And I had people asking me, on Instagram, like, "Oh, you're gonna release a book soon?"
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
No way. Maybe in like when I'm 50 or something.
Yeah.
And I've had time to actually like digest the places that I'm interested in and really capture something that means something.
Can you imagine curating that book? Oh,
get Harry to do it. I know.
All right, mate, let's wrap up with
Yes.
This is the conversation cards I was talking about earlier. Thanks to Stephen Bartlett for these. He's got a great podcast, but
Big up, Steve.
he has, he does the same thing where the guest will, obviously write a question for the next guest. And these are basically the cards that have all of them. So I think we'll do it kind of random. If you just pick a card and I'll ask the question. All right, here we go.
Who's this? Who asked this?
Oh, good question. This was Payal I don't even know who this is. Definitely didn't watch that podcast. Payal Kadakia. Payal Kadakia? Do you know who that? Anyway, good question. When was the last time a day flew by and what were you doing?
Cool. The last time a day flew by was it'd have to be yesterday. I got back from Seville with a hangover and it kind of just flew by.
Okay.
No, it didn't. Last time a day flew by and what was I doing? I would say, when I went to Mount Ejim fairly recently, or maybe even one of the days in Vietnam, to be quite honest. Yeah. I went to photograph the lychee harvest in Bac Giang, like just north of Hanoi, and that day absolutely flew by. I think I shot. I mean, we were up at like 3:45, drove to the harvest. I shot that till midday. I shot a ton of other things that day. I couldn't even tell you what. And it just kind of wound up at the end of the day, and I was like, wow, what the fuck just happened? I think that happens though when you're just doing what you love. Like you just completely lose track of time, and
there's a flow state, isn't there? And it's that is a bit of a cliche, but it is with photographers and artists. I find that that's common in everyone. They just lose themselves in their craft. I think it's difficult to explain to people, right? But it's
flow state.
Yeah, it is flow state. You just, oh my God, it's what time?
That's when I'm my most happiest for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I try to go out and shoot here as much as possible.
Yeah.
There's like literally nothing else I'd rather be doing. Yeah. I think that was the last time I didn't really know what happened in that day though, I got to the end and I was like, holy shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We look forward to when we're going to see. I think you've posted a couple of the photos from Vietnam, haven't you?
Yeah, just a couple. Yep. 2, maybe. Yeah, I'm going to go back and edit some stuff after this, but I've still got so many photos to work through.
Yeah.
But they'll be coming soon.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
Thanks.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was nice. We rarely get to see each other. But...
Yeah, we do. And it's nice to kind of just shoot the shit.
Yeah, loved it. Thanks for having me, mate.
Thanks for coming. And I'm sure there'll be a part 2 at some point.
Yeah, why not?
In the meantime, good luck with all your projects, workshops. Where can people find you? What can people see and where?
They can follow me on Instagram.
Or Twitter.
Yeah, at Jord Hammond. If you want to follow my street photography account on Instagram that has no posts, you can find me at Jord Hammond.
Oh, yeah, I remember that account.
Yeah, which by the time this podcast goes live, I imagine I'll have some photos up on there. But
I thought that was more of your personal one, but you made it into a street one.
Yeah, I wrote that about a personal page. I have no interest in posting pictures of myself anyway. Maybe on my stories if I look, particularly handsome that day. No, I'm joking. No, I don't want to post my personal life on a feed of any kind.
Yeah.
No, I just want to post other photos I enjoy taking. So
Yeah.
yeah, that will be there. Jord Hammond or Jord Hammond?
Jord Hammond or Jord Hammond. We'll look out for it.
Yeah,
Again, thanks for coming.
Cheers,
Absolute pleasure. Take care and see you soon.
Bye.
Just fist bumping.